Hello everybody, Ian, Starship Adventure, and I'm going to talk to you today about something that's very near and dear to my heart, and that's free speech. As you guys know, over the years, I have become quite a constitutionalist, and I believe that the Constitution protects us from the government and protects us from anything that can happen to us by our government. And that's why it is such an important document. That's why it's more important than any other document that's ever been written by man. The United States Constitution is what makes this place special. It's what makes this place number one in the world, okay? And it's what makes the United States great, okay? And so today we're going to be talking specifically about the First Amendment, okay? The freedom of speech. Donald J. Trump just got sworn in as president, and one of the first things he did was sign an executive order where he is protecting your right to free speech. Okay, the government has been used a lot lately to stifle free speech, to tell people you can't talk about COVID, you can't talk about the government, you can't talk about negative things, you can't talk about things that we deem as misinformation or disinformation. You can't talk about anything out there that's overly controversial. Well, those days are coming to a screeching halt, okay? What we have now is an executive order that protects us all from the stifling of free speech based on frivolous things like decency and morality. Okay? You cannot use any excuse to stifle free speech. The only free speech that is not allowed, and it's not free speech, is threatening speech. Speech that threatens people. Okay? Speech where you are making a verbal threat that you are going to harm somebody. That's the only thing. And I'm going to say something now that's going to freak people out. You're allowed to yell fire in a movie theater. Now, you're responsible for the consequences of your action, but the free speech actually protects you to yell fire in a theater, okay? The protections of the Constitution, unless you're committing a crime like making a threat, are absolute, okay? And they're absolute on ham radio too. This order effectively shuts down the Karens, okay? The people that don't want to hear the word shit, or they don't want to hear the F word, they don't want to hear this, they don't want to hear that. You know what? I choose not to say the F word on this channel, not the government. If I say shit, I choose to say shit. That's my choice. You're my audience. If you don't want to listen to me because of my choices of what I say, that's how it works. That's free speech. Now, I believe that the Karens have been policing the bands for way too long. One of the biggest complaints I hear about ham radio is, well, I was cautioned about this. I was told I couldn't say that. I don't like being told I can't talk about politics. I don't like being told that I can't say damn this or screw that. I get pissed when I get on there and I find out they can talk about Geritol. I can't talk about Republicans. Okay? That's wrong. All right? Free speech is free speech, all right? And so, although free speech does not protect you from a repeater owner shutting down his repeater, it's private property. But it does protect you from the government stepping in any way and stifling your speech. So what does this say? Well, on January 20th, Donald Trump signed an executive order. It's called Restoring Freedom of Speech and Ending Federal Censorship, period. That's what it's called. It's amazing. This order was specifically designed to protect free speech rights and ensure that the federal government no longer interferes with constitutionally protected speech. For so many years, people have come on these ham radio channels and say, you can't say that, you can't say that, you can't say that. And you know what? The FCC really over the years has not done a lot of enforcement on decency in ham radio. They haven't. Even though if you ask a lot of these hams, they'll tell you, the FCC will come down on you like a hammer, son. No, they really don't. They only deal with people who intentionally interfere in an ongoing situation. They do not care if you say the F word on VHF or the S word on UHF. They really don't care. What they cared about mostly is repeat offenders, people that continue to do things over and over again, specifically to harm others. And even most of that now is protected. Your right to say what you want on that channel is protected. Now, if you're doing it to intentionally block someone else, you get in the gray area still. But the point is, this law protects you. It takes the gray area away from them censoring what you're saying or how you're saying it. You can no longer be censored by the government for saying anything about COVID, for using the F word, or for saying that your local club either is great or it sucks. Okay? So what I love about this order is that we already had these protections. What this does is it makes it crystal clear for all of these snowflake Karens out there that, oh, I just can't take listening to bad words. It makes me sick and my car runs off the road and everything. It's crap. I'm sick of it. This ends all of that. It applies to a very wide range of areas. It's not limited to radio, TV, internet. It's not limited to anything. This applies to fax machines. Okay? This applies to digital pagers. It applies to anywhere where you are communicating a message to another American. That's free speech. Okay? There's key components here. And these key components apply to everything. They apply to CB. They apply to GMRS. They apply to FRS. They apply to MERS. They apply to everything. Every single kind of radio network or radio service there is out there. Okay? Now, if your company or your department wants to say, look, you can't say bad words on the radio, that's fine. That's perfectly within their purview. If the fire department tells the firemen, look, don't use bad words on the radio, they should do that. No reason to do that. Okay? But that's a department regulating their own people on their own radio system, not regulating the public. The public can no longer be regulated as to free speech at all. And they've made that perfectly clear in this document. Free speech is literally the foundation. It's the first rule of the land. It's the prime directive, if you will. It's the one thing that's more important than all others. It has 5 facets, and it's the one thing that protects us all from the rampant government. Everybody talks a lot about the Second Amendment and how it's there to protect us from the government. Well, so's the First Amendment. Our right to redress our government, our right to free speech, our right to assemble. These are all rights that are ours, and we have to use them or we lose them. And anytime someone tells you what you should or shouldn't say on the radio, shame on them. The radio is just like having a conversation anywhere in the world. It's public. It's like being on the sidewalk in front of your house and having a conversation with your neighbor. Two-way radios are public. This executive order emphasizes the importance of the First Amendment of the Constitution and how that right in itself protects all of the others. It asserts the government must respect our free speech. They must respect our right to not only say what we want, but to say what we want about them. The key provision in this order aims to ensure that no federal resources will be spent to stifle your free speech. That's important. We're not going to create a bureau within a department that now goes and makes sure that you are saying the right things on your... What a waste. So just letting you Karens know out there, it's over. The days of policing speech are over. I suggest you put a rocker switch on your repeater so you can flip it on and off really easy. This should provide everybody out there with a peace of mind. Peace of mind that going forward, you're not going to get a letter of correction from the FCC because you used the F word one night on the radio. You're not going to get a letter from the FCC or a fine from the FCC because the old curmudgeons in your local club don't like you using their repeater. Okay? And that's important. That's important. So thank you, Donald Trump, for this. Regardless of how you feel politically, this is a win for everybody. This keeps the government out of your business and out of your mouth, okay, and what you say. And nothing's more important than that. They made it the First Amendment on purpose. It's the First Amendment. It's the prime directive. The freedom of speech. Protected at all costs. I'm Ian. This is Starship Adventures from Starship Studios in Southwest Florida. I hope to see you down the log or maybe on our next adventure. 7 3s, everybody.